nosaltres, per darrere, que avui no veieu ningú més, però hi ha molta més gent que ens ha estat ajudant i que sense ells i elles hauria sigut impossible. O sigui que també molt d'agraïment a ells i a elles. O sigui que a dins de la Coordinadora Catalana d'Entitats Budistes trobem entitats, centres budistes no em volia deixar-me cap, de budisme tibetà, que hi ha 4 escoles. Després tenim de Zen, tenim Zen japonès, vietnamita, coreà, Soka Gakkai i també tenim Theravada, que són les tradicions més majoritàries de tot arreu. Amb això què vull dir? Que per comptes de budisme hauríem de dir budismes, pràcticament. Perquè el budisme és a tot arreu igual, els fonaments, però en canvi la manera d'expressar, que és una part més cultural, budistes que són universals, d'alguna manera, i aquesta és una miqueta la motivació d'aquest festival, apropar aquests valors a la societat, o fer-ho arribar a com més gent millor. D'aquestes 32 entitats, una gran part han sigut també entitats budistes promotores d'aquest festival. Llavors, activament estan participant.
Buenas noches, buenas noches. Pues como decía Monse, hoy estamos aquí pues para agradecer, ¿no? Agradecer a todas las personas y entidades que han hecho posible este festival. Son los pilares que lo sostienen y desde luego uno de los fundamentales es la Fundación de Almagaya, que además de ser, como ha dicho Monse, coorganizador, es también patrocinador oficial desde la primera edición. No podemos saludar a Daniel Milietzil, que es el presidente de la fundación, ni tampoco a John Shannon, que junto con Daniel tuvieron la idea de este festival. Y no lo podemos hacer porque viven en Hong Kong.
Pensem que crec que anem pel mateix camí, en tenim bastantes d'exaurides, de projeccions, però la nostra pretensió és ampliar l'abast d'aquest festival, ampliar-lo i contribuir a expandir el coneixement del budisme, que és en definitiva del que es tracta. Som un festival de petit format, però amb una aspiració de créixer en cada edició, i volem arribar cada cop a més persones apropant els valors del budisme a través de pel·lícules i documentals que també tracten temes d'actualitat. Per exemple, en aquesta edició veureu que tenim pel·lícules que tracten sobre la salut mental, sobre la sororitat entre dones, sobre les armes i la necessitat de no fer-les servir, de la pau. Ens esforcem en l'organització d'aquest festival per mantenir la coherència amb els valors budistes, i no només els que es trasllueixen a partir de les pel·lícules i documentals que formen part de cadascuna de les edicions, sinó també amb la forma com muntem el festival. Volem ser coherents amb la cura del medi ambient.
Doni la benvinguda a la nostra convidada d'honor, que és Rosemary Rockcliffe, que és la directora del documental que veurem tot seguit, el Gran 14è. I també Donna Coleman, que és el director de la pel·lícula que es podrà veure demà, Dugdam. Rosemary, welcome and thank you very much for accepting our invitation.
So, Rosemary, I have to say, first of all, that I have never seen your film before. This was my first time to see, and I was totally impressed. Not only impressed because it's a beautiful film, but because it's transmitting so much. You have been able to make a kind of a fantastic teaching, and full of beauty, and also full of this incredible images of the present and the past of the Dalai Lama. So I wanted to say this first of all, and to tell you how impressed I am. So, and in a way, I would like to tell the public that Rosemary this morning, when we were preparing this conversation, said that maybe she would prefer to have directly, instead of having a conversation between the two of us, questions from you, and then answering questions from you.
Yeah, I'd like it to be a conversation
exactly.
between us.
So I just...
I love a conversation with you too.
Yes, I'm here. I will remain here, but the first thing I wanted to say, thank you so much for this wonderful, wonderful production, wonderful film that you have been doing. And then this morning I had the opportunity to hear about, for example, your discovery of this private trunk of the films of the Dalai Lama, and now I see what it means. But I would like maybe to start with this, and then to let the people ask you. But first, please.
You want me to describe that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, before I do, first of all, I want to thank everyone, all the people who've organised the festival, and for everyone here, thank you for coming. And well, I don't know what to say, except I don't see the film very often. I know I made it, and you know, you don't sit at home watching your film all day once you've done it. And each time I see it, I have a different response to it, because I don't remember that this is what I did a lot of the time. It's a weird experience. This time, seeing it, I've not seen this for probably a year, 9 months maybe, and you'll forgive me, but it's made me very emotional. So if I start weeping a little bit, I apologize. So, in answer to the question about the archival footage, you know, I've made 2 other films about the women of Tibet, and during that process I would hear rumors that there was a trunk, a big trunk full of film cans hidden away in His Holiness's residence. And during one of my interviews, early interviews for this film, I said to him, you know, I've heard about this trunk, is this true? And he said, oh yes, it's in my home. And I said, well, do you think I could take a look at the footage? Because nobody's looked at it since the early 60s. It's just been stashed away there. And so he said, yes, okay. And the following day, 3 of his security guys arrived where I was staying and dumped this chest of film cans in the middle of my sitting room where I was staying. And together we went through the contents, and I brought 35 rolls of the footage and cleaned, restored it, and digitized it. And so this is just some of the footage that I worked with to restore and have given back to them, of course. So that's the story of the archival footage.
It's a great honor, no? In a way, it was a kind of indicating that you could do a film like that, where we are able to see him and the story that he's telling in images is absolutely extraordinary.
Right.
You know, see him with the age of today, and then young, and then with the people, and then with the beauty of what was his palace. It was really striking, really striking.
Yeah. So, does anyone have any questions? Or are you all still trying to figure it out? No? Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah. ¿Qué ha significado para ti?
Wait a minute.
Ya.
Okay.
¿Qué ha significado para ti, que eres budista practicante, tener la oportunidad de estar tantas horas con el Dalai Lama y hacer esta película?
Good question. Good question, because I had to, what did it mean to me? Of course, there are no words to begin to describe. In reality, I had to have a relationship with him that said we're working. I'm not a practitioner. Yes, I'm a practitioner. I'm a student of his and Tibetan Buddhism generally. But the reality is we're here to do a job, and he's all business. When he's working, he's working. And it's intense, because everything that he gives you, there are so many different levels. So I don't even know how to talk about this. I've never had this question before. So thinking about it, I was having to be in the moment all the time, and getting what I was getting as a teaching for me, but also figuring out how I can edit this in my head while we're on the job, as it were, while we're doing the work. I'm figuring out how this will work for the themes I want to carry, and how to redirect him in those moments. So working with him over all the many times we worked together for long periods at a time. I didn't think so, but after the trips, when I would go to India, I was exhausted. Exhausted, integrating everything to be able to pull the best from it to put here without getting myself in the way. That's the hardest job, and I think if Donna, you're in the room, as a filmmaker, I don't know if there are any other filmmakers in the house. One of the biggest problems for a filmmaker is resisting the temptation to elicit an answer that you really would like for the film. Posing a question that you know will give you a great answer for a film. Can't be done, especially with this relationship. You just have to keep pushing yourself, your ego, all the things that are going on in your mind at that time, out of the way. How best am I going to give him his most authentic voice? Because that was my promise to him. I would give him a voice that nobody else could give him. Because most films are made with people talking about their opinion of what he thinks, what they think he's doing or saying or whatever. This is him. So, does that answer it? Yeah? Okay.
Thank you.
Hola, una pregunta. ¿Cómo ha sido posible grabar tan de cerca, en primer plano, al Dalai Lama durante toda la película y no cansar al público, ¿no? Teniendo la imagen y combinando los documentales al mismo tiempo? Sí, ha sido muy, muy difícil.
Did she say close up without
making the audience tired of watching all the close-up picture of the Dalai Lama?
Oh,
It's a compliment. It's a compliment.
well, okay, thank you for the compliment. That's one thing. Filming close up without making you tired? I don't know. I think he's such a charismatic character. I could sit and look at him all day, just because his expression, the way he is, his energy, and the way he is in his body when you're this, I mean, we sat this close, you know, and so my camera is over my shoulder most of the time, just off. And it's a very intimate thing, and I think that the audience experiences that, maybe. Maybe not, I don't know. But that would be my guess. It's hard for me to know. I just do the job. But great question. Anyone else? I have a question for some of the monastics here. My question would be to you as practitioners, obviously. I just was recently, last year, this time, I showed the film to Tibetans who had never seen this before. And they spent a lot of time crying, and just because he lives amongst them, they've never seen anything like this. And so as a monastic, how do you see this? How does it affect you? Because he is your main man, you know?
How, you mean that for Tibetans it was very moving? So you are asking me as a Westerner nun, how does it affect me?
Yeah.
I was crying. I was really moved to see not only Dalai Lama, but to see how he thinks about everything. So enriching. He knows about everything, and at the same time, he has so much love, so much knowledge about everything. So for me, it's really moving, and I've been crying also.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know. Thank you. Rinpoche, what about you?
Thank you calling me Rinpoche.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually I want to say thank you, Rosemary, what you have done, and to share the message of His Holiness Dalai Lama in the world. So this is a great job what you have done, and this will go on and on to every different corner of the world to listen the message of Dalai Lama as the great absolutely he is a great man in this world, and also for me in this life good karma that I could live with His Holiness 11 years in Dharamsala, yes, in his monastery. So now I moved to Barcelona. Still I carry his message and way of thinking to be a better person, to share the message of Buddha, and you know how to respect the different religion. And even though I'm a Buddhist, but I live in a Catholic country, but we have a very good relation with no problem with the Catholic and other religion with the Buddhism. So this is what His Holiness has this three commitment. What he's doing is one is the unity of all religions together live, and human value. Like these things, yeah, really, it's a moving movie, So I want to say thank you, and we need. Dalai Lama is not only for Tibetans. Dalai Lama actually is for believer and no believers in this world. His message should listen and to practice. I think so. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Rosemary, and I think that this movie is very important because it's not only about the Dalai Lama, which is great, but also because of Tibetan culture. It is a world heritage in its own. So and I really recommend all the people the movie about his mother that you also have in frame of mind, which yeah, which is moving also, and how education and schools were in exile. So it's great. Also. But my question is, how many hours do you have of footage? Or because probably when you edit the film, you think of a huge public, and you need to cut things and make it shorter for a big audience, maybe. But most of us maybe want the extended version. I don't know.
Okay, so the question was how much footage I have, and am I going to make a longer version?
But hopefully.
Basically, roughly. Well, first let me say that all this material came from being asked by his younger brother, Nori Rinpoche, to make a feature film, a narrative feature film, like Kundun or 7 Years in Tibet. And in the process of us deciding whether or not to do it, a feature film, I had to talk with His Holiness and explain that making a feature film requires him to be very involved in order to write a screenplay. And he should, they should think very carefully about it, because it took 21 years to make Gandhi, for example. It wasn't a short job they were asking me to do. And so a few weeks later they came back to me and said, yes, His Holiness wants you to do this. And so we agreed a start time, and they wanted the film anchored around his devolution of power, his retiring from the political role. And so we started in January, February of 2012, he and I meeting on a regular basis to talk for a long time. So over the next year or two, we spent a lot of time together. And during that period, I created a lot of material that this film is made from, because these were my research notes for the screenplay, in a way. From the Great Mother film, from A Quiet Revolution that came after the Great Mother, and I was in the middle of a third film of the Women of Tibet series when they asked me to do this, and that one was put on hold. So going back to how long it took me until 2019, because I was writing the screenplay for the narrative feature film, and raising a lot of funding for that, and trying to process this and clean the archival. So it was quite an extraordinary journey. The number of hours, to be honest, I don't know how many hours we have. I know that I'm in the process now of making what I would call an e-documentary, which will be an interactive version of this, and where he talks about, you'll watch it on any device, where he talks about a specific thing like science and working with the nature, the scientific aspect. We'll cut a separate thing. You'll be able to stop the film and go to 2-3 minutes of him talking about that. Or when he talks about the institution of the Dalai Lama, you'll be able to stop the film and go to 2 or 3 minutes of him describing the lives that he described to me as the 5th Dalai Lama, or the 7th Dalai Lama, the 6th, the 12th, he gave me a commentary on each Dalai Lama. The only ones that are in this film is a tiny clip of him talking about the 13th, and then I came, There is a whole commentary about all the Dalai Lamas. So I'm working to raise the funding to finish that for his 90th birthday next year. And then that will go up online, and I want to make it available. So that's all in process. So will it be a longer version of this? I don't know what it's going to end up as. I have no idea. I'm just doing what I think will work for everyone. Expanding the knowledge of his knowledge to you.
Thank you.
Hi, Rosemary. Thank you very much. You almost answered my question, because when you watch the film, I wonder how was the process of this film. So as if you wrote a script, and then you were shooting, but then you realize that it's almost a very important part is when you edit at the end the film. It's like I wonder if that's more important, where you narrate the story, editing, when you decide what to put in the film or not. And really I wonder, because I have this impression that it was not written before, but like afterwards.
No, it certainly wasn't written. The documentary, for me, and I don't know about other filmmakers, I never have a script. The script I was talking about prior to this is a separate project, is a narrative feature film, a screenplay. That's an entirely different thing. This was made out of the research material that was used to create the narrative script for a different project. And so editing is really where major work is done. If you don't have decent footage, you can't make a film anyway. It's like, we would say in England, like trying to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. I don't know if you have something equivalent to that. It's like trying to make, if you don't have the material, you can't make something that's worthwhile. So they're equal, for me, they're equal. To have the material to work with, that's good material, honest, clear, but also has emotion in it, is first for me. And then when I get into the next part, the storytelling part of it, which is the editorial, then I generally try and work with themes, like you saw the cards, the chapter cards, becoming the Dalai Lama, a calm mind. So my editor and I will work together. I have a junior editor, and I'll talk about the themes that I want to pull out, and we'll look at all of that. And so you might have a rough cut of everything, of all those themes, maybe 8 hours, and then you look, and it's like a jigsaw puzzle. How do you do it, Donna? I mean, it's a different process for every filmmaker, I think, until you get to the place where you say, this is the story I want to tell, or I think this is it. What do you say?
I find it to be a similar process. Sometimes I have had to write quite a detailed script for a documentary when it's just like a mess and we have to finish it because of deadlines.
Right.
But yeah, I recognize what you're saying.
It's very hard to describe to non-filmmakers because there's so much other stuff that goes into it. Where you're gonna, a lot of filmmakers I know, they start with the images. They'll tell a visual story first and then look at the commentary underneath it. I don't. I have to tell the story first, and then I'll look for the B-roll, the visuals that go with the story I'm telling, and fill the gaps of what I haven't got spoken. You know, it's a dance. It definitely is a dance between this rhythm, you know, I don't know if some filmmakers I've heard of, not that often, but when I sometimes am cutting, I'll put a metronome, you know, a musical metronome, so that the rhythm of the film remains the same. And I'll find that rhythm at the beginning. I don't use a metronome anymore. That was 30, 40 years ago. So the metronome is in here for me. But I will have a rhythm that also speaks to the earlier question of how do you keep it alive and not boring for your audience in such close-up, apart from it being visually interesting in a way, coming back and forth to that face. There's also a rhythm to it. There's the dance, that musical aspect of filmmaking. And then you go to your composer and they help the rhythm. You know, and my final editor, if I've put everything together with a junior editor, then my main editor will come in and will colorize and do all the finishing of the film. But he'll finesse things and say, we need a little more breath in there, or it needs to be longer on this shot, or can we do that? So it's a whole filmmaking process, how it comes together. For me, it's very intuitive. You know, I look at something, I have a rule in my cutting room. If something doesn't work in half an hour, get rid of it and do something else. I'm brutal at that kind of thing. I don't know how you are, Donna, but I've had editors. One time, an editor was trying to make a shot work for like an hour and a half. And if it's not going to work in half an hour, it's not going to work. Use it someplace else. If it's something you can't let go of, find a different way to use it. So, it's all a process.
Buenas noches. Yo, más que hacer una pregunta, lo que quería es decir que en realidad, después de esta película, la Sala Verdi ha quedado llena de amor. Entonces, doy las gracias de poder estar hoy aquí, a la persona que me ha invitado, y estoy muy feliz de poder haber compartido con ustedes esta película. Muchísimas gracias, porque usted lo ha hecho posible.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I will just say that you have all loved this, and did you say the room is full of love? Well, let me tell you, it is my joy to do this. This is my soul song, doing what I do, and to be given the opportunity to work with His Holiness over 20 years of time, long, you know, from when I began 22 years ago with him. It's my joy, because I'm singing, my soul is singing, because I've been given the privilege and joy to do this work. So it's a gift to everyone and to the world. So thank you.
Hi hauria possibilitat, ja que hi ha tot aquest material i que precisament ens està dient el Dalai Lama la importància que té l'educació, cosa amb la qual estic super d'acord. Aleshores, nosaltres tenim ja unes edats que ja estem fets.
Hi hauria alguna possibilitat de fer quan sigui, algun format o alguna manera de que això arribés a gent més jove o a nens? Ja sé que és difícil, però seria fantàstic, perquè aquest missatge ha d'arribar abans de que tinguem aquestes edats, crec. Jo estaria molt agraïda. Thank you very much for your work.
Thank you. Well, as he says, time is always moving, and it can't be stopped. My dream for this, for all the work that I've done with the Tibetans, and particularly with this material for His Holiness, is very precious. It is my dream to make a legacy kind of, I've been working on it for the last 2 or 3 years, to find a way to make all of the material available after a certain period of time. I can't do it because I'm still making films from it, and so I can't make it available. For education, of course, some of it's a little too advanced for little ones, but educationally, I want to do a whole educational series of small clips of individual teachings from him that can be 2 or 3 minutes just of him speaking about, you know, individual moments that we all come across, those kind of things. Yes, there's not much that I haven't thought about in how best to make this available. The major concern is money. I'm an independent filmmaker. Everything I do is made through donation. This film total cost probably $1.2 million. Most of it raised in small amounts from individuals I've never met or will never meet. It takes a long time to do that. I have some wonderful supporters who give, thank God, big checks to cover big moments so that I can get a lot of work done. But in terms of, at the moment, I've just done a document that to finish the narrative feature film and to create this legacy, and the total I'm raising at the moment is $7.5 million. So I'm on the same page. I could do it all tomorrow if we have the funding, you know, that's the reality. And then I can go, like he says, then I can go. But it is my intention, and it's a very deep motivation to be able to do that too.
When you came in, you said, you know me, probably you know me.
Well, maybe another
and
life.
I say probably we met in a previous life.
Yes.
Maybe we have a close relation before. And I don't have a question, I have a proposal. Since we have a very important person and famous person in Hollywood, and he is interested in Buddhism, why don't you take the advantage to use...
You're not going to say Richard Gere, are you? No.
Because it will open the eyes
I
to
know
Buddhists
Richard.
In the whole world.
I know him, and we've talked. He's seen the film, he loves it. But he, you know, when you're making this kind of work, you have to work with the people who are right for the project. Richard has done enormous good for the Tibetans, for the International Campaign for Tibet. He's just produced this last film, you know, Wisdom of Compassion, which is also, I saw the other day, a preview of it. And Richard is asked by everyone, please, can you help me do this? And he's not the right person not because he's anything wrong with him, but the work that I'm doing is very unattached to celebrity. And I want to be discreet here. Celebrities aren't always easy to deal with. They always have an opinion that doesn't necessarily benefit the project. I'm not saying this about Richard. I'm saying generally, I've met most of the celebrities involved with Tibet and Tibetan Buddhism, and particularly His Holiness, and they all have an agenda that often doesn't have anything to do with my agenda. And so, when I would be interviewing His Holiness, I'd run in and I'd say, okay, this is what we've done. Do you want to tell me? Oh, no, I trust you. Motivation is good. No. He never, ever wanted to know what I was doing or how I was doing it. That kind of trust, it makes me weepy. It buckles my knees that he would give me that trust. And this is the result. So I will die before I'll put anybody in control other than him and me. You know? Because whenever I'm making a choice, he's in my ear. What would His Holiness say to me? How would he say, does he have a teaching around this? Why am I being given this question? Can I answer it honestly? Can I come from the right motivation? So, day and night, in my dream time, I mean, it's a nightmare sometimes because I don't have any break from it. I don't mean a nightmare in a bad way, but you know, sometimes I'd like a day off, but I don't get that. So I thank you for your offering of Richard, but being there.
He's a little bit Buddhist.
I know,
and he will open the view of the Buddhists in the whole world. That's what.
I know. It's a temptation, I'll tell you.
Thank you.
They are telling me that maybe it's time.
Okay.
It's time to leave. Thank you so much, Rosemary.
Thank you, everyone.
It was really a fantastic experience.
And thank you for not getting bored. For you. Thank you for not getting bored. Thank you. Thank you.